The GeneXus objects of transaction and procedure type offer the property commit on exit that can take the value yes or no. In this way, it's decided whether the generated programs will execute an automatic commit. By default, GeneXus includes a commit statement in the generated programs associated with objects of transaction and procedure type. In procedures, an automatic commit is included at the end of the source in the generated programs. In transactions, an automatic commit is included in the generated programs after a modification is made in the database. That is to say, after inserting, modifying, or deleting data, and immediately before executing the code associated with the rules conditioned to the after complete triggering moment, and the code associated with the after TRN event. For example, if there's a country transaction, with city as the second level, and 5 countries are inserted through its form, the commit will be executed 5 times, after saving the information of each country and its cities, but before the execution of the rules conditioned to the after complete moment. What reasons can there be for not executing a commit in a transaction or procedure? To customize a logical unit of work, LUW. This means that it's necessary to expand an LUW so that, for example, several procedures or a transaction with one or more procedures form a logical unit of work, and it's necessary for a commit to cover all of them. Now let's look at some important restrictions in relation to this issue. In web environments, each transaction can only commit its own set of operations performed on the database and the procedures invoked by it, but not the operations performed by another transaction. That is, if a transaction calls another transaction, the commit executed by one transaction does not apply to the records inserted, modified, or deleted by the other. Therefore, 2 different transactions cannot be included in the same LUW. If you need to execute operations through 2 different transactions, and you want to form a single LUW between them, the solution is to execute them using the business component concept, including, then, the commit command, after executing the operations associated with both transactions. It should be noted that the commit on exit property will be ignored in transactions used as business components. This means that, although the transaction has the commit on exit property set to yes, if the transaction is used as a business component, the commit will not be executed automatically, and it'll be necessary to declare the commit command explicitly. The reason for this behavior is to allow specifying logical units of work between multiple transactions, including the commit command when necessary. We'll then look at 4 very specific examples and analyze the behavior. Let's look at the first example. Suppose there's a country transaction and the source of the procedure shown. The procedure has the commit on exit property set to yes. Since the for each performs an update on the database, GeneXus will add the commit automatically, and the country with value country ID equals 2 will be updated with its new name. Let's see the following. Consider the same country transaction, set as business component, and the source of the procedure shown. The country ID attribute is auto-numbered, and the procedure has the commit on exit property set to yes. What will be the behavior? Since the procedure only performs operations with the business component, even if the procedure has the commit on exit property set to yes, it'll be ignored, and the country will not be committed. To achieve this, it's necessary to add the commit command explicitly. Let's move on to the next example. Again, let's suppose that the same country transaction has been set as business component, and the source of the procedure is as shown. The country ID attribute is auto-numbered, and the procedure has the commit on exit property set to yes. In this example, since there are operations with a business component in the source of a procedure, and there's also a for each that performs updates on the database, then the yes value of the commit on exit property is considered, and both the operations with the business component and the operations of the for each are committed. Therefore, the country with the name Brazil will be inserted, and also the country with value country ID equals 2 will change its name. Let's see the last example. Again, we consider the same country transaction set as business component and the procedure source shown. The country ID attribute is auto-numbered and the procedure has the commit on exit property set to yes. In this case, the value yes of the commit on exit property will also be ignored because an update is attempted through the business component and not directly through the for each. If this business component is not present, the for each itself does not perform any action. Therefore, it will be necessary to add the commit command explicitly. So, after having seen these examples, as a general rule, we can say that an object with the commit on exit property set to yes will commit on completion, as long as this object performs an update on the database that's not only through a business component. Okay, let's see something else. Although we're not going to focus now on concurrency control, it should be mentioned that when several users perform operations on the database, if the information to be read is blocked by another write program, the values that will be displayed will depend on the DBMS. It's then up to the DBMS to decide whether to display the old or the new value of the data being queried. This behavior is controlled by the isolation level property at the data store level. This property allows specifying the isolation level of the changes made by the programs. The possible values are as follows. Read committed. Programs do not see changes made by other users until the commit is executed. This is the default value taken by the property. Read uncommitted. In this case, programs see the changes made by other users even if the commit has not been executed yet. Specifying the isolation level affects reading and concurrency control. The read committed option, which is the default value, achieves higher levels of consistency but also generates more database locks.